What we're going to be discussing today is the method of application, surface preparation, which is very important. Preparation is very, very important before you can put any system down onto a floor. You know, it's almost like the foundation of a building. If your foundation is troublesome, your build thereafter is going to be problematic. Okay, so we've gone to site, we've prepared the floor, we've inspected the floor, we've done some sort of preparation on the floor, and we now can assume we've got a nice, good surface to work off. We've done some moisture checks and we're getting readings of say 5%, 4%, 5%, maybe even up to 6%. That's absolutely perfect for our vapor screen, which is the moisture barrier we're going to talk a little bit now today. Concrete is a living, breathing material, which means it's susceptible to water being spilt on it. It'll absorb it into the matrix of itself. It's susceptible to relative humidity. It can absorb moisture from the air. It can absorb moisture from the ground beneath it if there's no damp proofing in place. It's always good to try and understand what sort of moisture, if we're getting high moisture readings, what sort of moisture we're dealing with. Is it passive moisture? Is it moisture that's probably been there for a long time and it might not cause too much of a problem? Or is it moisture that is caused from your house or your factory being built in a high water table area? we've gone to site, we've inspected the floors, we've done our preparation, we've fixed cracks if need be, we've applied our vapor screen in a 2-coat application onto the floor. The next step would be to put our second product in the leveling system onto that surface, which is called the Tel Primer Coat. The purpose of the primer coat was actually to create an interface between the moisture barrier system and the self-leveling screed, which gets applied on top of it, which is the next step of the process we're going to talk about now. Once you've applied it, allow it to cure. When it cures, it'll actually matte off completely. It dulls down, and the light green color that it is becomes a bit darker. It's always good to do some sort of test on the surface just to see if there's any transfer of the primer coat onto your hand, or whether you can deface it by scuffing your shoe on top of the surface. If you can, the material still needs to cure a little bit longer. If you can't, then you should be good to go for the next application.
Once the primer coat is in place and it's ready, the next step is to put your self-leveling screed. And before you put your self-leveling screed, you need to make sure that you've got the necessary tools in place before the pulling of the screed starts. You need to have your spike shoes, you need to have your rack, you need to have your spike roller, you need to have your mixing bin, you need to have an extension just to make sure that you've got the power very close to where you're screeding, and most importantly, you need to have your mixer. So those are the necessary tools that you need to have before you start your screeding. And the other thing as well that you need to make sure that it's put in place, people are working in teams and they know exactly who is doing what.
final floor finish is going to be a luxury vinyl tile, commonly known as an LVT. Then we have an adhesive called ProFix Plus LVT, which is specifically designed for fixing vinyl tiles to our screed master. It's a water-based adhesive and it's commonly known as a wet lay, which means it's put down using a 1.5mm notch trowel. The glue is troweled across the surface, and while that glue is wet, your LVT tiles are laid into that. The LVT glue is not just a glue, it's also designed to support the LVT tile itself. You know, LVT tiles, they're laid almost everywhere. They're exposed to direct sunlight, indirect sunlight. They have plasticizers in them, which means they can shrink over time. The glue is there to actually support the tile in that process.
Before you apply the adhesive, it's very important to actually also check the moisture level of the screed itself. And after 24 hours to 48 hours, our screed should be less than 3%. But before the application of the adhesive, the moisture level must be below 3%.
We always suggest, and again, normally good contractors, they take a rubbing stone or a bit of sandpaper and they just rub the surface of the screed. It removes any loose or foreign matter that may have settled on the screed overnight or during the curing process.